Welcome to the Broncos podcast with Troy Renck. I am your host, Troy Renck from the Denver Post. Hope you're having a wonderful Monday. The sun is bright, clouds are clear. It's a Broncos victory Monday. Enjoy it, savor it. Broncos country, the Broncos are back, baby. Get used to it. That's what I wrote in my column today. Again, I believed it when I wrote it in Arrowhead that the loss to Kansas City was going to be the reason this team made the playoffs. Not missed, but made. Because of the investment of these players, because the culture is different, because they're just better. And, oh, by the way, they have their quarterback. I told you when Bo Nix got in that argument with Sean Payton on the sidelines against the Raiders, what was that, October 6th? That's the day he became the starter. The day he became a franchise quarterback was in Arrowhead. To go down, outplay Patrick Mahomes, put him in position to win. And that if there was any doubt, he removed it with one of the best rookie quarterback performances ever yesterday. I don't care who it's against. You're telling me every other rookie hasn't played a bad team during his rookie season? The Falcons defense stinks. I get it. But we can't qualify everything that, this defense was bad. This type of performance with 85% accuracy, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns. There's never been a rookie stat line like that. There's been a rookie stat line similarly, but not with that high completion percentage. So Bo Nix is showing and proving and reinforcing he's the guy. And that is a great place to be with 6 games left at 6-5. You're sitting in the 7th spot. The Bo show continues to get better. We're going to talk about what Bo Nix did, why it was better beyond the statistics, a Javonte Williams run that set the tone for the whole game and maybe the rest of the season, and Nick the Quick. What is he up to next? What is he doing? We're going to get to all of it after the break. Have you been injured in a car wreck? Maybe just hurt at work? What are you waiting for? Give my friends at Hoggett Injury Law a call. Their motto with us, it's personal. That's because it is. Listen, I've known Darby Hoggett forever. We traveled around the country watching our boys play baseball. I coached his son, Jet, in hoops. I became a good friend with Darby. Many of his clients become his good friends. He loves the Broncos. He was texting me during the game. Couldn't believe what he was watching. I told him, hey, soak it all in. It's real. Listen, with Darby, you go into business with him, you don't even have to pay Darby up front. If your case goes as planned, Darby will be the one writing checks to you. So again, if you've been hurt in a car wreck or injured at work, give Darby's team a call. That's 1-833-HOGGATT. That's 1-833-HOGGET. Or visit the website at hoggettlaw.com. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, and college basketball, NHL, UFC, even MMA. Head to BetOnline today to get on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. Welcome back, folks. I'm Troy Renck from the Denver Post. I'd encourage you to read my column on today's game, Sunday's victory by the Broncos. Basically, Javonte Williams' run setting the tone. So take a look at that if you have a chance. I really appreciate your support on the digital side for me. You guys have been great in following me over to YouTube here. Because of Big A behind the screen, I cannot thank you, the listeners on the audio side, but certainly those who followed us onto the video side. It is much appreciated. And now's a good time to join, to subscribe, because this Broncos team is going to the playoffs, folks. This Broncos team, soak that in, is going to the playoffs. They're going to end that 8-year skid of no postseason. They're going to end that streak of 7 straight years without a winning season. And why? It's coming to me. Thinking about, Bo Nix. Listen, I liked the Bo Nix pick before the draft because of how I thought he would fit Sean Payton. Yes, he's the 6th quarterback taken. We all understand it. And that quarterback taken in every draft rarely does anything. But this was different because he was going to an offensive coach who had a plan for him. And in the preseason, that's why I wrote, it was obvious he's the guy. What are we waiting for? Start him. He's ready. And then against Seattle and Pittsburgh and the Jets. Seattle, he's throwing picks. Against Pittsburgh, he's struggling to deal with pressure. The Jets, it looks like he's never gripped a football in the rain in his life. The Chargers, he looks lost. But through all of that, Bo Nix showed his maturity, his dedication to his craft, his obsession with the process, his ability to learn. And the idea that he was never going to become an accurate passer never made sense to me. The kid completed 75% of his passes over his final 2 years at Oregon. Yes, some of those, a lot of those in some games were behind line of scrimmage. I get it. But you don't throw with that kind of accuracy and then just lose it in the NFL. And as his processing improved, what he was seeing and the play calling fitting his strengths changed with Sean Payton bending, showing elasticity with more one-side reads, more RPOs. So as the game slows down for him, his accuracy improves. And yesterday, he was throwing dimes. He unleashed a couple of balls over the middle yesterday, just laser beams through traffic, on point. Earlier in the year, that throw had no chance. He had guys open earlier in the year on crossing patterns, overthrowing them, behind him, low. And it's because he was bouncing his feet. He didn't know what he was seeing, so you get out of rhythm. Everything about quarterback play is rhythm. 1, 2, 3, ball out. It's when you hitch that second time, timing gets off, your shoulders open. And at this level, when you're off just a little bit mechanically, it's like the big leagues with a pitcher. Now this ball is 6 inches off the plate. That feels small. It's not in the big leagues. And NFL's similar. But Bo is the kid that is coachable. Someone who understands, hey, I gotta clean this up. And to Sean Payton's credit, when they talk about painting the picture for him, they slowed the game down, gave him easier reads. Because earlier in the year, I thought they were asking him to do way too much. And I've said this, that Sean Payton was coaching a quarterback he wanted, not the one he had. He didn't have Drew Brees. When he was running out of game plan against Seattle and Pittsburgh, it was like, what are we doing? Why is he dropping back 45 times a game? He doesn't have the weapons for that, and he's not ready for that. And they pulled back in. Payton, to his credit, with Davis Webb, Joe Lombardi, Pete Carmichael, recognizing this kid is a hell of an athlete. He is an elite runner. So we need to incorporate more of that. Use that just to create that doubt. Plant that seed with the defense. Get him in situations where, boom, he looks quick here, then he's got a crosser, and then maybe one more. We're not asking him to go through 5 reads like the sprinkler hit. No. Like, that's hard to do when you're still getting used to pressure around you and climbing the pocket. But what we saw yesterday was electrifying. That's Bo Nix at his best, folks. We've seen acoustic Bo Nix. That was the Jets game. And we saw electrifying. Like, those are the two extremes. The Jets game, the Oregon Duck that looked like he had never played in water before. And yesterday, it doesn't get any better than that for a rookie quarterback. And why was it special? Well, let's read the stats. Let's make sure we're all on the same page here, so we objectively understand what you saw yesterday, that your eyes were not lying to you. Bo Nix was 28 of 33, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns, a quarterback rating of 145. Sutton had 7 for 78. Vele, 4 for 66. Lil Jordan Humphrey, 4 for 52. Mims, who's now officially out of witness protection, 2 catches for 49 yards. Javonte Williams, 4 for 28. Troy Franklin, 2 for 15 and a touchdown. Atkins had a touchdown on an unbelievably well-drawn play where he leaked out and nobody covered him. His 1 catch, a score. So you just go down the list. Big plays throughout. Javonte Williams, I would have kept Estime as the main running back, but to his credit, he had a big game. 9 rushes for 59 yards, and we'll get to his big run that changed the game later. But you'll say, is he the favorite for Rookie of the Year? And I say yes. Now, listen, as it stands now, and Sean Keeler and I debate this in tomorrow's Denver Post, and you can see it online later today. Jaden Daniels right now has stats that are a little better than his. A little. Not much. Bo is starting to compare favorably to Jaden Daniels. So when you look at the overall stats for Offensive Rookie of the Year, here's what we got. So listen in, folks. Nick's overall numbers now: 65.5 completion percentage, 2,275 yards, 14 touchdowns, 6 picks, 295 yards rushing, 4 scores on the ground. Compare that to Daniels. Daniels' completion percentage, slightly higher, 68.7. His yardage, just a tick higher, 23.38. Touchdowns, fewer, 10. Interceptions, fewer, 3. He has 482 yards rushing, 4 scores. So overall, he's got better numbers than Nick's, but not by much. Not by much. And Daniels is trending the wrong way because he's dealing with this rib injury. If you watched him against Philadelphia, and I love Jaden Daniels coming out. So let's be clear. He was not that the Broncos were going to get him. He was just my favorite quarterback in the draft. But he is dealing with a health issue that is compromising his play. If you watched him play against Philadelphia, that did not look like the same guy we saw. But his numbers are slightly better. He deserves to still probably be the favorite. But I was talking to Dan Graziano from ESPN yesterday. I've known Dan forever since he covered the Mets when I was on the Rockies beat. He was an MLB writer. And I'm like, hey, am I overreacting that Bo Nix could win Rookie of the Year? He's like, absolutely not. It's not an overreaction. And here's why, folks. Here's what you need to know about Bo Nix before you say, you guys are going crazy over one game. Wrong. You are wrong. It is not over one game. It's been over the last 7 games. So almost 2 months. And these are the numbers I want you to understand on why Nix has a legitimate chance to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Over the last 7 games, get your pen and pencil out. If you're in your car, pull over. If you're at work, get that Post Malone pad out. Get it out. Listen to these stats over the last 7 games, and you tell me that Bo Nix isn't a favorite to win Rookie of the Year. Last 7 games, 69% completion percentage, 7.4 yards per attempt, 13 touchdowns, 2 picks. His passer rating during this 7-game stretch, 106.3. That's not good for a rookie. That's good for anyone. That's top 10 quarterback play. And when you drafted him 12, I said that was always the goal. Within 3 years, he is playing like a top 12 quarterback in the league. Well, over these last 7 games, he's playing like a top 12 quarterback right now. And they are 6-5. They are in the playoffs as of today, as the 7th seed. As crazy as that sounds. Now, the NFC has stunk this year. Let's be clear here. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say, oh, it's amazing year. It's not. But if you look at the playoff picture right now, and this strengthens Bo Nix's case, he's not doing this in a vacuum. This isn't Orlando Woolridge with the Paul Westhead Nuggets back in the 80s scoring 32 a game because the team's averaging 160. This is a kid playing his best football for a team that's in the 7th spot for a playoff berth at 6-5. The Colts are 8th at 5-6. They just went back to Anthony Richardson. He beat the Jets. Yeah, good for him. Listen, I like Richardson, but I'm not going to overreact to anyone beating the Jets with a washed-up Rodgers. The Jets are an absolutely just tire fire of a franchise right now. So I'm not going to overreact. The Dolphins are a little scary because they could get hot, and they're obviously playing better with Tua Tagovailoa back these last 3-4 games. They're 4-6, and the Broncos, Chargers did them a huge favor last night, beating the Bengals. They had them, was a 24-3, and then crazy comeback by the Bengals. Bengals have multiple opportunities to go ahead, and their kicker chokes it out. Page's Dr. Heimlich. That 51-yarder by Mike McPherson looked like it was going to be at the Forum, like 4 miles to the left. That was a terrible kick. And so they're 4-7. And could they still get in? Yeah, they could. The problem with the Bengals is they're going to lose in conference tiebreakers. They're 2-5 now. And they still play with the Steelers twice and the Ravens. I mean, it's hard to see them not ending up with at least 9 losses. So if the Broncos can get to 9-8, I think they're going to get in. But 10 for sure gets you in. But the Broncos now have a favorable schedule coming up. And that's what we'll get back to this Bo Nix argument is why can Bo Nix have a chance to win? For the same reason Jaden Daniels. The Washington team is a surprise team, has a chance to win its division. Well, if Bo Nix trumps him statistically and the Broncos get into the playoffs as a team that was picked to win 5 games before the season, I mean, that's a strong case. Now, again, this could go right down to the wire, but you look at the upcoming games for the Broncos at Vegas. They've never won there. You can win there this year. They're terrible, 2-7. I will say this. I want to make a quick tangent. Brock Bowers deserves to be mentioned in terms of the offensive rookie of the year stats. It's almost impossible for a non-quarterback to win it when there's quarterback play that's elite or good. But Bowers, I don't know if you realize this, and I love the kid in Georgia, loved him, and thought there was a point where Broncos might draft him if they didn't like Bo Nix. But Bowers is on pace for 119 catches for 1,200 yards and 5 touchdowns. Jeez, have a year, Brock. But they play at Vegas, home against Cleveland, home against the Colts. You could be, if you're the Broncos right there, that's 7-5, 8-5, 9-5 going into the Chargers game. Then you just need to win one of those final 3 against the Chargers, at Bengals, and against KC. If they go 10-7 and go to the playoffs, I believe Bo Nix is going to win it, the Offensive Rookie of the Year. And the one thing I fear, and then we're going to move on, my one fear is this. I covered Todd Helton in 1998, and he lost Rookie of the Year. And if you looked at his stats, there's no reason he should have lost Rookie of the Year. Why did he lose it? Kerry Wood had a 20 strikeout game in May of 1998. And like Jaden Daniels with that Hail Mary, he lived forever off that game. Kerry Wood was not good the second half of that season. He was running on fumes. It wasn't that he wasn't a worthy candidate, but that one moment defined his season in a way that voters couldn't get out of their mind. And he wins Rookie of the Year when, if you look at Helton's numbers, he should have won it. He did not. That is my one concern, is that Hail Mary against the dumbass Bears who can't understand how to defend one of the easiest plays to defend, that one moment is going to allow Daniels to overtake Nix. But it's going to be a race, folks. And even in absence, if he doesn't win it, he's the guy. They have their guy. I said that when he was the best player at Baltimore for the Broncos, when he was the best player at the Chiefs and outplayed Mahomes, and now he does it against the Falcons. But he wasn't the only one. There was a moment in there where that game showed you that this team had bounced back from the Chiefs' loss. The Chiefs made the Broncos reluctant organ donors. They ripped their hearts out and showed it to them. That is the type of game any other year the Broncos season goes right downhill. Reluctant organ donors. Here's ripping the heart out. And anyone, they're lying if they didn't think any other year the Broncos season over, they're going to hit the skids. But this team's different. This team is invested. They play for each other. They don't point fingers. They don't play the blame game. And it makes a difference when you hit adversity. And there was a moment on that Javonte run. His second quarter, 7 minutes left. Broncos up 7-3. Javonte Williams gets a handoff and bursts left. There's a hole. Not a surprise because the Falcons' defense has more holes than lifesavers. Terrible defense. Javonte bursts at the 5-yard line. He meets Justin Simmons right here. And it's a stalemate, as Javonte told me afterward. And then here comes the cavalry. It's like in basketball, if you want to know if a team cares about his coach, watch how they run back on defense in transition. If you want to know if guys are buying in, do they play transition defense? That's how you know they listen to a coach and care. And in football, how many guys are around the ball? On defense at the end of a play, and in this case on offense. How many guys are? Ultimately, it was 5 guys. It felt like the rest of the team. But you got little Jordan Humphrey in there. You got McGlinchey. You got Powers. You got Cortland Sutton, all pushing him in. Pushing him so hard that he's off the ground. Javonte admitted afterward, he's like, when did you know something was happening? He's like, when my feet were in the air. He crosses the goal line, and his feet are off the ground, folks. They're off the ground. And that play sent a message that the Broncos are not messing around. Don't F with us. We're not going away. We're different. We're not the same old sorry-ass Broncos. We'll take a punch. guess what? We're going to punch back. That moment said, we're going to punch back. So let's listen to what people were saying after the game regarding what I felt like, and I wrote about this in my column on the Denver Post, as a defining moment in the game and arguably the season. So we hear from Pat Surtain on that moment, Lil Jordan Humphrey, who was involved in it, Sean Payton talking about the win, and then Ben Powers and Malcolm Roach discussing not only the Devontae run, but just kind of what it means for this team. So Big A's behind the screen. Let's hear from the Broncos after their huge 38-6 win over the Falcons.
I mean, that was big, man. That was a huge momentum shift. You could tell the team was pretty rallied up and fired up from that play. Because, sometimes, when you get stuck like that, sometimes you don't see that from other teams, just building up a pile and pushing, the other player in the end zone. And when you see stuff like that, it motivates us more than ever. And that's just building team chemistry and camaraderie off of just that play. So.
Maybe the ball's coming in, you got a chance to get your first one.
I mean, yeah. I didn't think it was gonna be the first one, but I knew I had a chance to get it, and then I had a whole bunch of space, so just try to get in the zone.
Yeah.
On that Javonte touchdown run, you were one of the first guys pushing him in. I mean, what does that say about this team after last week? That it looked like about 10 guys were pushing him into the end zone.
We're a resilient team. Might be a young team, but we're resilient. We're gonna always fight. We showed it today. We just got to keep going and keep working, and I think we're going to end up achieving what we want to achieve.
How much has this team changed even from 2 weeks ago? Remember, after 2 weeks ago, you had a win. Coach Payton wasn't happy about the way you guys finished the game, but today you finished it.
We're growing every week. You know what I mean? We're trying to get better every week. Even with that win against 2 weeks ago, we knew we had to improve, and that's what we've been basing everything on, just improving and being the best we can be each and every week.
How did it feel when the ball just bounced right back to you after?
It felt good because I ain't want Coach Payton on my tail. You know what I mean? But I just got to hold on to it and got to be going careful with the ball.
And you get the feeling that you guys put up 38, but from talking with some of your teammates, you feel like you could have probably left some more out there, I guess.
Definitely. We definitely left some plays out there. Like I said, we got to keep working, keep gelling together because I feel like we're gelling well right now, and just keep going.
What is it that's impressed you most about Bo's improvement this year, especially these last 7 games? He's on a heater.
Bo is a terrific athlete, terrific quarterback. We saw it in the offseason, and just to see him improve all the time, each and every week, it's amazing, and it gives a lot of hope, and you're just like, oh man, like how good can he really be? You know what I mean? So because he's already amazing right now, so yeah, it's awesome to see.
Yeah, good hard-fought game, good win. Thought we had a real good week of preparation. That's the thing that I was really most proud of and excited about. Is the response, obviously coming off a tough loss. I thought we had a real good week. We felt like there were a few keys to winning this game. Our defense did a really good job. These guys rushed the ball very well. They've been averaging, I think, 140 yards a game, and it becomes more difficult when you're in one of those games. I thought that was important, and then certainly the takeaways, and we had a lot more explosives. There were just a number of things that we're going to like when we watch the tape, and then certainly there'll be some things that we'll need to clean up. But most importantly is coming back after after last week's loss.
Man, that was. Kyle started at the 5. It goes. I'm like, I better get involved with this, because like me and Quinn, we take a lot of pride in that. We're watching film and we're judging the other offensive players that don't get involved. So every time that something happens like that, I'm sweating my tail off to try to get involved.
How much does that say about? To me, it said a lot about a team after that loss. Like that moment shows kind of what this locker room's kind of like.
I personally, I can feel it. We're changing the tide around here, and it feels really good.
Yeah, appreciate you, my friend. Feel better. Appreciate you.
Pretty good coming in on Monday, watching the film and just seeing the opportunities we gave ourselves. We knew it'd be like 3 or 4 plays that we had to clean up in the last, about 4 games, and if we clean those up, we'll start pitching shutouts again. And this week we just honed in on all the walkthroughs and communication, talking to each other, things like that. And we kind of knew we was gonna come out and put out a good performance this week.
Is Sean on some kind of revenge tour on the NFC South? Or what's the hell? I asked him, and he looked at me and said, "I could say something smart, but what the hell?" You guys
Sean doing it. I think we kind of rejuvenated. We've been such a young team in New Orleans. We kind of always had like older teams.
Right.
We making it fun again. It's fun to come to work. Young guys, they're real funny. They keep you young and things like that. So I think he's having a good time coaching us. And as we keep winning, keep playing good defense, keep playing complementary offense and defense, we don't know where this thing could take us, but we know we can go somewhere.
Last thing, when you watch with that run with Javonte, and it looked like about 10 guys shoving through the
culture.
What does that say to you?
That's a culture play right there.
Okay.
That's just what it's built on. Fighting to the last whistle. Plays like that you can't draw up plays like that. It just got to happen.
Right. It's organic, right?
It's organic, man. And one thing about culture, you could say like, okay, this is our culture, but culture is what the guys do.
Right.
And with our offensive line, man, when they get going and got behind Vontae, that just turned everybody up, and especially for it to be Vontae, for him to break through with a run like that and have a game like he had today, man. Everybody's proud of him, and we couldn't be more invested in, getting ready to come back to work, watch this film tomorrow and get ready to go to work against Vegas.
Last thing, what's it like watching the Bo show? These last 7 games.
I want to say I'm very proud of him, man. We could tell he really grew up a lot last week in that environment. Tough environment, especially coming off the Baltimore game, I want to say. But just in practice, taking control in the huddle, in the locker room, taking control in the locker room, talking to guys, you wouldn't usually see him talking to. You could tell this team really coming together. And, man, sky's the limit for Bo Nix, man. I'm glad he's on my team. I want to say that I'm glad I ain't got to run around and tackle him. But the sky's the limit for him, and I think he's going to keep on going. And Rookie of the Year.
You look at he and I'll finish that. You look at he and Jaden Daniels. He's got a shot, folks. That was Malcolm Roach. You heard from Pat Surtain talking about the Javonte Williams run, what it meant to this team. Little Jordan Humphrey, his big touchdown, his participation in the blocking on that run. We hear from Coach Payton, who felt like during the week this team was responding well to that just horrible loss to the Chiefs. And then you hear Ben Powers and Roach talk about, hey, things are turning around here. And Roach, again, I think he identified it's a culture thing. And it's like one of those things, like you can't give yourself a nickname in high school. Like it's organic, like your friends say. I remember in high school, this dude we hung out with, he moved in from California, Neil was his name. Cool dude. He letters in soccer, and then he shows up at school, and on the back where you put your last name by your pocket, and then whatever you wanted on your back. He put style on the back of his letter jacket. We're like, Steele? Stiley? Who the hell is Stiley? He goes, that's my nickname. That's what you guys all call me. We're like, we have never called you that. So anytime I see someone now, it's just like 30 years later, I'll be like, what's up, Style? Like, I've never called but you can't give yourself a nickname. You can't just say our culture is different. You got to show me. And that run showed me that it's different. The way they reacted to the loss in that locker room, how pissed off they were, the silence where you could like hear the air and conditioning humming in that Kansas City locker room afterward. They were so pissed sitting there. That told me, hey, guys care. They're invested. They're pissed. They're tired of getting pushed around. I do want to say a quick note on this, and I didn't run the sound here, but I did talk to Alex Forsythe. I know some of you have asked me through either DMs or email. Again, Forsythe is a great story, and if you go back and look at a column I did about him in the summer, he's had just an incredible path to the NFL, dealt with adversity. His father was murdered in a mall shooting when he was like 12 years old, and his dad coached him in everything. And I identified with Alex because my dad was my coach growing up. I've coached my own sons, and I can't imagine losing that figure when I was 12. And so he stayed on track. It was hard. He fights his way through high school to get a scholarship at Oregon, and he's known for his preparation, dedication. That's why you saw his teammates defend him the way they do, is because of how he works in the shadows, how he works when no one's looking. In a reserve role, he played well at center, but in a reserve role, how well he's working. So yesterday, if you notice, they switched he and Matt Pert
Pert took that inside position. He's a bigger player as a tackle. Forsythe moved to the flank position. They had, 5 extra points and a field goal, no issues. But Forsythe told me yesterday that how much he appreciated the support of his teammates, people standing up for him. He said, hey, I had a horrible, felt horrible. He felt like he lost the game, but he really did appreciate the way his teammates had his back. And again, it ties back into the culture of this team, how things have changed. And we'll finish up with this. You can't win just with culture. You got to win with talent, folks. It's not just about, we got a whole bunch of good guys in here. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way in the NFL. It can't be just a bunch of good guys. You've got to have dudes that make plays. And defensively, the Broncos defense has been a top 5 defense the entire season. They had a bad game at Baltimore, a bad third quarter against Seattle, but they have stood up. Every chance they've stood up. And there's one player who's really starting to distinguish himself right now. That is Nik Bonitto. Do you realize he's tied for second in sacks in the NFL with 9? Broncos haven't had someone in double figures, I believe, since 17? It was the Bradley Chubb Von Miller year. Was it 2018? It's been like 6 years since they've had a 1,000-yard receiver and a double-digit sack guy. Well, Nik Bonitto's going to get there, folks. He's at 9 with 6 games to play. He ranks second in the league. Trey Hendrickson from Cincinnati, 11.5. Dexter Lawrence from the Giants has 9. Bonitto has 9. Dante Fowler Jr., 8.5. Andrew Van Ginkel for the Vikings, 8. But what a season by Nick the Quick Bonitto. This guy's first step is elite, but he's made himself into an all-around player where he can stay on the field. He's much better in run support. He wasn't good early in his career. He was kind of a one-trick pony, and he's gotten a little bigger. He's stronger. He understands how they're trying to set him up in the run game. He's got an array of moves now. And as Alfred Williams told me, and remember, Alfred was a nice edge rusher in the NFL and an all-time great in college. He told me it is the quickest first step he's seen since Elvis Dumerville. Now, the best pass rusher in Broncos history is Von Miller. Simon Fletcher is certainly in that conversation. But to be compared to Dumerville with that first step, that says a lot about who Nik Bonitto is. He is an insane athlete who's now putting together the football side of it. It's not just raw athleticism, folks. He hasn't gotten to 9 sacks because of luck. He's understanding how he's being blocked. He's understanding situational football, situational awareness. So Nick the Quick, part of a defense that continues to give the Broncos a chance to win every week. They go to the Raiders. They've never won in Vegas. You like the chances because of their defense keeping them in the game, and now they've got a quarterback. They play the Browns. They play the Colts. All these teams look beatable because the Broncos have a defense that keeps them in a game, and they have their franchise quarterback. How long have we waited to say that? If you aren't saying that now, then for me, you just don't like Bo Nix, and that's fine. But at some point in sports, you have to reframe expectations. You have to admit you're wrong. I've been wrong on players. Of course I've been wrong. You don't do this business for 30 years and say, oh, I know I'm always right. I'm not. I like Bo Nix because I like the fit with Sean Payton. And it's played out that way. And if you don't like Bo Nix now, then, man, you need to watch some Simpsons episodes and mirror Ned Flanders. Get in a good mood, folks. Enjoy this. How many shitty games have we talked to on Mondays about Joe Flacco or Case Keenum or Simeon? Philip Lindsay playing the Wildcat against the Saints. Brandon Allen, unable to throw a ball through the wind in Buffalo. Jeff Driscoll, whose clock in his head was set to daylight savings time and was sacked 7 times by the Bucs. How many bad games have we watched in quarterback play? Drew Lock for all the fun, just stupid interceptions. You got your guy. Enjoy it. Let's see where this goes. Let's see where this goes, because the Bo Show goes on the road next week, Raiders. Folks, I could not do this pod without all the help from behind the scenes. That's Big A behind the glass. He does all the hard work. And you've got Nate Lundy at Mile High Sports, who makes the pod possible, certainly was completely behind us moving this to YouTube. Bet Online as well. They are our new sponsor. We love having them on. And, of course, my man, A1 from day one, Darby Hoggett, with Hoggett Injury Law. Broncos country, I do this pod for you. Happiness that begins with me. Go out there and have a great day.